Okay, guys, so this was our season opener last year. This year, it's going to be on Sunday Night Football. Buccaneers, Dallas Cowboys. Currently, the Bucs are a 2.5-point favorite, despite being on the road, going into Jerry World. Kyle, when you first look at this matchup, do you think it's going to be as exciting as last year's Thursday night game was?
I think it's possible. I think it could be a really, really fun game. And I obviously that one came down to the last play of the game, and the Cowboys had 450 yards of offense or whatever it was. And also, if I were to pick two teams that might regress this year, I think these are probably the two popular picks for most people. But I think that the Dallas Cowboy Tampa Bay Buccaneer game has so many different elements to it. I'm just going to go right off the bat and say one that I love, which is CeeDee Lamb against Carlton Davis. That's going to be so much fun to watch during the first few weeks of this, during the first few minutes of that game and the first few drives for the Cowboys, considering that Dallas got rid of Amari Cooper. And I know that they added James Washington and they gave an extension to Gallup, but they didn't do a whole lot to like really revamp the offense. So maybe it looks different this year. I don't know exactly, but that'll be fun to watch. CeeDee Lamb and Carlton Davis. Obviously, Tampa's offense has been a machine in the past, and a couple offensive linemen are gone, but a couple Cowboys defensive linemen are gone. So how does that matchup work? I don't know how that one's going to go, but there's so many different interesting elements going into this football game.
I'm excited, but I gotta say this is the first time, like in Tom Brady's weird return presser, where he genuinely looks defeated in his eyes. He doesn't look like he has that same Tom Brady fire that like all Pats fans around me are like, oh, dude, watch Tom go out and fucking torch it. It's like he doesn't look like that dude. He looks like you would call him Thomas. Like that. That's the energy he's giving off right now, which makes me nervous for the Bucs season. I kind of like what Dak is going to be able to do with this younger squad. Like you said, they lost a lot of talent, or they lost one really major big piece in Amari Cooper. But I like what they acquired in Jalen Tolbert. Words. We'll see if he ends up coming into that Michael Gallup role. But I think the Cowboys end up getting this one.
Some of the things that I don't like early for the Buccaneers, the centers, them losing just pieces throughout their offensive line throughout the offseason, that's going to be something that I think is going to have to be worked on in the early goings here. I think it will be fine over the course of the season. You talk about regression. I think, yes, the Bucs should regress, meaning mostly that they lose a few more games throughout the regular season. I'm still very high on the Bucs overall as a team and as a Super Bowl contender. James brought up a great point with kind of like Brady's demeanor heading into this one. I feel like whatever wound or whatever scab he picked out a couple weeks ago when he took his leave of absence, it's still a little bit too fresh and needs a little bit of time to heal. I'm sure it's weighing on his mind. And I feel as though that might be one of the biggest things that kind of like works against him in the early going. Kyle, as the Cowboys enter this one as the underdog, what do you think is the biggest thing they got to do to win the game?
Score points. That's definitely the biggest one for them. The Cowboys are built on the offense. They ride or die with the offense. They got to get points. And they did that last year. The problem was that Tom Brady just did a Tom Brady is that MFer guy drive at the end of the week 1 game last year. Like Dallas did everything right. And after that, they were pretty unstoppable offensively. And the Cowboys have been a top 5 offense every year for 4 years now, or at least top 7. I think last year they finished 7th in the league, but they've been a top 7 offense every year for the past 4 years. So key to Dallas is always going to be scoring points. In regards to the Tom Brady point, like Tom Brady also wants to be a Miami Dolphin. He doesn't want to play in Tampa, or at least he didn't 6 months ago. And part of his condition of coming back was making Bruce Arians forced into retirement, which I call Bruce Arians getting fired. So I feel like we're quick to move past that story as well as Tom Brady goes on a leave of absence. And like James says, doesn't really have that Tom Brady dog look in his eyes as he comes back to this season, because he already had like both feet out the door in Tampa. And then the Brian Flores lawsuit blew up him and Sean Payton's magical plan to end up winning 8 games a year with the Dolphins.
James, last year, the Bucs run defense was one of the best in the league. And we've talked about it certainly from fantasy perspective of can Zeke Elliott become a top tier running back again? Do you think that that's an opportunity for the Dallas offense to move the ball? Do you think they'll be able to do that on the ground?
I think they'll be able to do it on the ground, but I really think this is the Tony Pollard year. I just think he's fresher legs. Zeke has just been beat to a pulp and overused and I guess bell cowed out. He doesn't have it in those, like the mileage on that engine isn't there. Like he's running on basically like a Corolla engine right now. I would expect him to start with maybe like a 40-60 because Tony Pollard finished the year pretty decent. And then it kind of just keep tilting a little bit more to Tony Pollard until he ends up like requesting a trade or demanding a trade. Sorry. Next year by the trade deadline at the earliest.
James, what's your game prediction?
I'm going to say Dallas takes it. I think this is going to be another high scoring match. Super official. I think it's going to be another high scoring game. I just think they have a lot more in offense than I think anybody's really expecting. And I think Tom Brady's a lot less than what anyone's thinking. So give me the Cowboys.
This one's tough. I'm in a bit of a toss-up mode here, and I think the thing that kind of like swings the pendulum in the Cowboys' direction for me is, yes, Tampa Bay has a great offense. As long as Dallas has Micah Parsons playing every snap in the center of that defense, they're going to at least be decent, and he's going to help open up everything they do on defense because Micah Parsons is 22 years old and might be the best linebacker in the NFL. So I think that I'm leaning Dallas, although I don't feel confidence either way in my pick for this game, but I will lean Dallas for the slight victory with no confidence in who's going to win this game.
Like GTA, got to go with a 3-star rating because I am also throwing out the Cowboys as my pick for the reasons I mentioned. So Brady's mindset coming into this game. I know that Brady's the ultimate competitor and definitely something I revere him for. But I feel as though early on, he's just got to move past whatever was bugging him in the offseason. And whatever's bugging him currently in season is this offensive line. And I feel like that needs to be worked on. I feel like Micah Parsons might be able to get some pressure going. And I just feel as though this is the opportunity for Dallas to avenge that week 1 loss from a year ago. Yeah, I'm going with the Cowboys. James going with Cowboys. Kyle's going with the Cowboys. But what are you going with the Cowboys? Let us know in the comments. All right, guys, you probably noticed this segment's a little different, not just Kyle and I, but we also joined by a guest, James from Boda. James, we need you to drop all the obligatory plugs. That way people know where to find you.
Hi, well, thank you for having me. You can find us everywhere at Boda Sports, BOTA. Instagram, TikTok is the biggest ones. There's also a Twitter, but it's really not worth them. I'm going to be 500% honest about it. Yeah, you can find all of our stuff everywhere just by searching Boda Sports.
Okay, guys, find that below in the bio. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel from Juju Talk Sports and Kyle Ledbetter. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you on the next one.